They called him the Troublemaker. But without him, Tanzania might have never survived. In the 1990s, Tanzania was running on empty. Prices shot up. Salaries meant almost nothing. The HIV/AIDS hit hard. El Niños flooded. Factories went quiet. And the country felt like it was slipping away in a troubled decade. Then, almost suddenly, the story changed. Within a few years, Tanzania was being talked about as one of Africa's rising economies. At the center of that turnaround was one man, Benjamin William Mkapa, the Big Ben, a leader some people jokingly called the Troublemaker for how sharply he pushed for reforms. When Mkapa passed away in 2020, the grief was national. Even President John Pombe Magufuli, usually firm and unreadable, couldn't hold back tears. And then, not long after, Magufuli himself died. Two leaders, one after the other, leaving a silence that Tanzanians still feel.
But who really was Mkapa?
Let me tell you a story of this man who rebuilt Tanzania. But before moving forward, I would kindly ask you to subscribe this channel, because your subscription is what keeps us moving forward.
To understand Benjamin Mkapa, we should rewind far before the State House, far before politics, all the way back to his beginnings. The boy who would become the third president of the United Republic of Tanzania was born on 12 November 1938 to a Christian and modest family in the southern parts of Tanganyika. Like any other African father, Mkapa's father imagined one of the three futures for his son: priest, doctor, or teacher. Futures that never destined to become. That belief in service and learning shaped everything that followed.
Among most Tanzanians who trace their names through their fathers, Mkapa's story began differently.
In his autobiography, he recalls that his grandfather came from what is now Mozambique, crossing the Ruvuma River long before colonial borders existed. His family came from a matriarchal line, and that's why he carried his mother's clan name, Mkapa, a name of Mozambican origin. His Catholic schooling at Lupaso, Ndanda, and Kingosera Seminary, and later St. Francis College, where he had his first encounter with the man who would be most influential in the rest of his life and career, a charismatic teacher called Julius Kambarage Nyerere, which I will tell you more later on. This journey drilled discipline and morality into him. Mkapa would later say his guiding principle was simple.
Ora et labora. He was always a leader, never a ruler. Others saw him as arrogant. He wasn't. He just did not like mediocrity.
In 1959, when Tanganyika was fighting for its independence, he joined Makerere University College in Uganda, then East Africa's intellectual hub. Makerere was buzzing with anti-colonial debates. Future leaders argued late into what freedom should mean. Mkapa, the romantic man who had his first encounter with love during his time at the college, to an American lady graduated with honors in English in 1962, a year later after Tanganyika's independence, and even published a poem called Facing a Volcano. Those 5 years were transformative to Mkapa's mind, his attitude towards others, and the commitment to the service of the nations in years to come, as he wrote in his autobiography. In 1962, just after graduating university studies, he earned a place at Columbia University in New York, an opportunity from the Tanganyika government, before his wish to work in the foreign, as they were preparing who would become a foreign minister that would lead Tanzania in their first war. It was a special program for young diplomats from newly independent states. There he learned the how of governing finance, foreign policy, and the harsh realities of the Cold War.
Catholic discipline shaped his life, and the Christian faith also shaped his life greatly. He was a Pan-Africanist. He wanted to see the unification of the continent of Africa. He learned from the Western world that leadership is about doing and showing results. So he understood that, and we see through his leadership.
Mkapa started his working in government as a district officer in Dodoma before going to Columbia University. After returning home in 1963, he started working in foreign ministry as a foreign service officer grade 3. His dream now started to be formed as he wished, then moved into journalism. By the 1970s, he was editing the nation's most influential papers, The Nationalist and Uhuru, the position which Mwalimu himself appointed him, and later Daily News.
He was shaping the story of a new country, and this was exactly the time that Mwalimu started to forge a leader who would become the third president of United Republic of Tanzania. Mwalimu saw potential in Big Ben.
Mkapa's journalism didn't just shape his career, it shaped Tanzania's political tone in that era he led, but also as a communicator-in-chief. He used concise and very steady communication to build credibility with donors, to defend difficult reforms like privatization, for example.
His skills with words and messaging earned him a spot in President Julius Nyerere's inner circle as press secretary. There he learned statecraft from the master himself, his college teacher. From there, it was a career strategic rotations, each teaching him a new dimension of power. He became foreign minister twice, including the time when Tanzania went to war against Idi Amin in Uganda, information minister twice, and later minister of science and higher education. In 1995, when Tanzania needed someone to navigate away from a failing economy and through the first multi-party election, Mwalimu had his preferred name, Salim Ahmed Salim. Though Salim did not want it, Mkapa was no one's choice. Only his close friends showed interest and encouraged him to go for it. Though there was stiff competition within the party, he dared and won, and had the support of Mwalimu after confronting him with 5 reasons why he deserved the nomination. Nyerere personally, without mentioning his name, in 1995 CCM General Assembly in Dodoma endorsed Mkapa for president. He mentioned all the reasons of Mkapa why he was vying for the nomination, which he presented to him earlier.
As someone who could not be swayed, the second, as a person who had the courage to say no, and third, as a leader who would be able to confront corruption.
As the nation's first major test under the new multi-party system, the 1995 Tanzania election was highly controversial. The main contest featured Benjamin Mkapa of the long-ruling CCM party against his popular challenger Agostino Mrema. The election was marred by severe logistical issues in Dar es Salaam, forcing the National Electoral Commission (NEC) to nullify the results there. Disagreeing with this decision, some of the opposition boycotted the rescheduled vote on November 19th. In the end, CCM was declared the winner, and the troublemaker, journalist, and diplomat Benjamin Mkapa, the Big Ben, became the third president of Tanzania, the position later he wished never to go for it. When Benjamin Mkapa took the oath of office on 23rd November 1995, Tanzania was in deep financial trouble. The government could barely meet basic expenses. Inflation was running near 25%. Wages were delayed and public confidence was at its lowest. Mkapa later admitted that what he found inside the government shocked him. The economy was far worse than what he had been told during the campaign. His first move was not a speech full of promises, but honesty. He went public with the truth. He called it ukweli na wazi, truth and transparency, that become both a slogan and a survival tool. The first thing he fixed was salaries. As he wrote, "How can you get the government to function if the workers are not being paid?" He made sure teachers, nurses, police were paid on time. It sounds simple, but rebuilt discipline and confidence in public service. Then came the cleanup. Mkapa's government launched bold reforms to rebuild the state, starting with the Warioba Commission on Corruption in 1996. The commission exposed how deeply corruption had spread through government departments and public enterprises. For the first time, names were made public. It shocked the system, but Mkapa knew that fighting corruption was the only way to restore credibility.
There are huge costs involved in allowing corruption to take place. I mean, for example, bribing of public officials. Well, that may lead to decisions that are not the right ones for society. Tax evasion itself, the whole bureaucracy, it can lead to mistrust and even a loss of foreign investment, loss of trade. And it widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that itself is a cause, as a reason why we should all fight the evil of corruption.
He tied reform to morality by framing difficult IMF-backed measures as national responsibility. He made people believe that the pain was necessary for Tanzania's government. His administration reduced the unnecessary state roles, allowed the government to focus on security and essential services, while many public enterprises and utilities were privatized or given to independent agencies. The idea was to let the private sector drive growth.
My predecessor, who was the second president of the Republic, decided that there must be some change. And so that's when he started to leave some of the areas to the private sector and to privatize some of the enterprises. And when I came in, I went in full swing. Okay. And that's what I did. And we have seen the results. By the turn of the millennium, the results were visible. Real GDP was growing by about 4% annually. Inflation had dropped from nearly 30% to 5%, and foreign reserves had more than doubled. I emphasized financial discipline in government and opening up the economy to private investment, which would stimulate growth.
Tanzania was slowly rebuilding its credibility at home and abroad. Local government reforms gave more power to districts, aiming to bring decision-making closer to the people. And for the first time in decades, private investment began to rise. The TANESCO, TBL, NBC, NMB, and many others were the results of these reforms. During his first term, he built new agencies to bring in free market reforms such as Tanzania Revenue Authority (TRA) and the Business Registration and License Agency (BRELA). This decisive action signaled to the world that Tanzania was serious about change, earning the country the trust of international investors.
He was able to institutionalize so many things. Today we have so many strong institutions which were founded and introduced by Benjamin William Mkapa.
Investment laws were reviewed to make ownership and land rights clear. In 1999, a new Land Act was passed to guarantee security for investors and citizens. The changes in foreign investment jumped from $104 million in 1994-1995 to over $200 million by 1999-2000.
Kwa rais mwenye msimamo sana. Kuanzia kwenye chama mpaka kwenye serikali.
Mkapa's approach was firm and disciplined.
Ni kweli alikuwa rais sio masiara.
Reform, transparency, and efficiency.
The institutions in different societies that generate different patterns of long-run economic development. So poor countries tend to have institutions that don't create broad-based incentives or opportunities for people. They tend to favor narrow elites at the expense of society more generally, but successful economies have managed to create sets of economic institutions, rules, which create broad-based opportunities and incentives.
But just as Tanzania began to regain its footing, tragedy struck. In October 1999, the father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, passed away in London.
Nakisikitika kuwatangazia kwamba mpendwa wetu, baba wa taifa, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, amefariki dunia. Mwalimu ameaga dunia hii leo saa 4:30 asubuhi saa za Tanzania katika hospitali ya Mtakatifu Thomas mjini London, ambako alikuwa amelazwa akipata matibabu ya kansa ya damu tangu Septemba 24 mwaka huu.
For Mkapa, it was more than national loss. Nyerere had been his mentor, his moral compass, and the man who believed in his leadership when few did.
It impressed me because he was a great listener. He seldom made decisions without deep thought and certainly without seeking the opinion of others. And this was important within the party because it made sure that the whole country knew what had been discussed and why the decisions had been made.
With Nyerere gone, Mkapa carried the burden alone. His focus turned to securing Tanzania's stability, preparing the 2000 general election and defending his record. He faced critics who said he was too close to foreign institutions. But the data, falling inflation, growing investment, and
stronger revenue told a different story. His message was simple: integrity had brought progress. And now, the story truly begins. The story of a man stepping into his purpose, into the 5 years that would test everything he was made of. 5 years that would shape not only his life, his legacy, but the destiny of an entire nation. Years filled with storms of politics in Zanzibar, the sting of loss and death, the building of national foundation for years to come, the loneliness of life after power, and the dawn of a new digital world he never imagined. And then, the guest he never wished would keep on rising in Tanzania. This is where the story turns. I'll tell you more in the part 2. My name is Temidayo. See you in the part 2.